If you are new to this channel and enjoy the content that you see, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications to be alerted and notified whenever a brand new video is posted onto this channel, along with following me on these social media platforms to stay connected with me at all times. Also, feel free to check out all of your favorite videos and playlists located down in the description box below. Thank you so much for your continued support. Now let's begin. If you would like to win a replica Infinity Gauntlet, then all you would have to do to enter is like this video, subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave a comment as to what you think the future will be for Marvel after the Avengers 4 movie, and also what your favorite Marvel movie is of all time and why. With the Avengers 4 movie on the horizon, fans within the Marvel Cinematic Universe are begging the question as to what exactly is going to take place following the events of Thanos in the Avengers 4 movie, and joining me here today to discuss the events following the Avengers 4 is my good friend Rose Memes. As Rose, I wanted to ask you a question that we talked about off camera, and that's after Thanos, right? Because we know of, other, celestial beings out there, no pun intended, like the Celestials. We know about the Living Tribunal. We know about Galactus. We know about, other entities that exist outside of Thanos that are way stronger than Thanos is right now. But I wanted to ask you is, following the Avengers 4 movie and whatever happens with Thanos, in your opinion, what do you think would be the logical route for them to take in order to introduce a villain stronger than Thanos, but logical in the sense to where this needs to be the be-all end-all, or at least leading up to the be-all end-all? Because for me, I would love for them, especially now, to introduce Galactus. I'm not sure if you feel as if Doctor Doom might be a better replacement, or the Celestials, or any other entity of that nature, but what do you think is the likelihood of them bringing about Galactus, this early? Would you say it's too early? Would you rather see Doctor Doom? Would you rather go with the Celestials? In your opinion, after Thanos, what do you think is going to, transpire afterwards in bringing us a villain that is not only stronger than Thanos, but poses a much greater threat to the Avengers as well?
Okay, so with this, they could go Doctor Doom, the Celestials, or Galactus. They're all three of them are really good choices. With the MCU, they don't have to go stronger. They could go with more dangerous or just as dangerous. If they want to go the Doctor Doom route, he's definitely his intelligence makes him a lot more dangerous than Thanos, and it sort of brings it back to reality to where the Avengers actually could fight Doctor Doom. It's not a huge scale, but Doctor Doom is such a great character in the comics that a lot of people would love to see him. But if you do want to go bigger, you could introduce the Celestials. They're an entire race. But even then, you don't have to bring in the entire race. Just one Celestial would be a big enough threat for the Avengers or for people on Earth. Now, Galactus, I feel like Galactus would be going too far, too fast. A lot of people know who Galactus is, but I feel like jumping from Thanos right to Galactus without establishing a story for him, or without establishing a backstory for him, I don't think that would resonate well with audiences who only watch Marvel, who only know Marvel through the MCU, who aren't that indebted into comics like me and you are. So I feel like if they do want to move forward in terms of strength, I would go with the Celestials. If they want to go with more dangerous, I would definitely go with Doctor Doom. Galactus, I would wait another movie or another arc or another phase before you jump to Galactus. I feel like that would be a bit too much.
Right. So what do you think needs to be done for Galactus to be a thing? Because we know that with the rights having to be sold to Marvel and Disney, and that now they have the rights to the Fantastic Four, the X-Men and whatnot. In your opinion, what do you think would be the more logical route to take in order to introduce Galactus in a more meaningful way?
You could introduce, you could sort of introduce the power cosmic, the power that Galactus gives to his heralds, like the Silver Surfer and all them.
Yes,
you could introduce the Silver Surfer, and then you could sort of have him bring about the coming of Galactus. The Fantastic Four touched up on that in Fox. They didn't do a really good job because it's Fox. They don't know what they're doing.
So would you say it would be much rather suited for them to have a rebooted Marvel version of, like, the Fantastic Four for that to happen, or do you think that they could just sneak him in a way? Because I think going about it in a route to where he's kind of hinted would be nice, because we don't really know of Galactus's existence within the MCU currently, because I don't think, to my knowledge, he was ever referenced, and that's because, of course, the rights having to be conflicted prior. But now, since they have the rights, I think that it would be more than, perfect for them to sneak him into the Avengers 4 just by name dropping him, I guess you could say, or at least, having Thanos reference to the Avengers. If you thought that I was you know, powerful, or if I was a threat, then you have no idea what lies beyond the horizon. There are entities out there that possess powers that, you know, far exceed mine. So you're saying keep Galactus away for about, you know, a few movies or so. Like, when do you feel like would be the right time to kind of like introduce him in the scene, sort of like they did with Thanos? Do you think that by the end credits of the Avengers 4 they ought to keep something, you know, alluded to where he actually exists, or would you rather still keep him away until we progress forward?
Honestly, what Marvel does, what the MCU does really well, is that they hint you for the next movie, the next upcoming event really well. If they were going the route of introducing Galactus, after they beat Thanos, I would have Thanos drop a hint, and then maybe something after the credits, maybe someone references to Power Cosmic, or someone references to Silver Surfer, and then you could go into a whole nother phase dealing with the Silver Surfer, getting the Power Cosmic, trying to understand how it works, and then bringing Galactus, sort of like what they did with Thanos. It doesn't have to be 10 plus years, but you can still do that in a couple movies, and then have Galactus come in at like the end of that phase, and then whatever they want to do, they can just do with that. How if they want to defeat Galactus, if they do plan on defeating him, who would they introduce next to combat Galactus? Because Captain Marvel, if she's still around in the Avengers, she definitely doesn't have the power to fight Galactus. I don't know who they would introduce to defeat Galactus. That's sort of where my main problem is. Would Galactus just leave? That would be extremely anticlimactic. Would you bring Thanos back, maybe to help him? I don't know. I don't think
that would be a very interesting concept, especially if he's sealed away. But also, since we have the rights to so many characters and so many franchises now, like X-Men and the Fantastic Four, the likelihood of Doctor Doom being a thing is also something very big. And we've seen in various comic versions before where I think Doctor Doom assisted the Avengers in having to fight against Galactus, if I'm not mistaken. So what are your thoughts on Doctor Doom being a thing? And if you would like kind of sneak him into the movies as well, how would you write in Doctor Doom?
Ooh, okay. If I were to write in Doctor Doom, you would have to introduce the Fantastic Four to go along with it, because the Fantastic Four do play a huge part in Galactus and his story, because Franklin Richards, Reed Richards' son, actually made Galactus his hero. And Reed Richards has, in the comics, he had possession of the Ultimate Nullifier, and he was able to run Galactus away from Earth. So I feel like in order to tie in Doctor Doom, you would have to bring in the Fantastic Four. And since they are already established and people do know who the Fantastic Four is, you don't have to have an entire movie about it. They could come in, maybe you have one. You can have maybe one movie to like reboot it if they want to. Since Scarlett Johansson is who is Black Widow, since you would have to recast everybody, but you can have a movie rebooting the Fantastic Four. This one movie will be fine, introducing them, Doctor Doom come back, and then you can write that into the next phase that whatever route Marvel wants to go in.
And what about the Celestials? How would you incorporate the Celestials, being that we know that Thanos stems from that kind of lineage and he has powers that are just out of this world? Introducing the Celestials, how would you have that be a thing? And like, would you have them kind of be referenced or mentioned or even introduced in the Avengers 4? Or would you rather carry that on until like perhaps maybe another Captain America movie, another Iron Man movie, perhaps Captain Marvel or something like that? Like, how would you introduce the Celestials in a logical way to where it makes sense and it ultimately builds to an Avengers 5 movie?
Okay, with the Celestials, they were referenced in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep, as did Adam Warlock as well.
Yep, Adam Warlock and all that. So that would sort of tie into, you could bring the Guardians back in, since they did reference them, even though they did fight Ego, the Living Planet, in Volume 2. The Celestials were still referenced. That their names were still dropped. So it still is. They can still build off of that. So I would, if they were to bring in the Celestials, bring in the Guardians of the Galaxy, bring in that whole lore, expand on that. You don't have to introduce the Celestials in that movie, but have their name dropped enough to a point to where they're a threat. Like, build up the Celestials to the point to where they are a huge threat above Thanos, but below Galactus. So like sort of like a building point,
right?
So when you get to Galactus.
Now, going back to Galactus, how would you even bring Galactus about? Like, would you have him enter our solar system? Because there are certain variations in the comics where we see Galactus, above Earth, and we see how the Avengers are assisted with the X-Men, like Wolverine and whatnot, in combating him. This is a very, you know, like big story. And I think that to introduce Galactus, as you said before, we need to introduce more powerful characters or additional heroes that can help out, such as the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. Do you think that it would be a good idea for them to reference Galactus at the end of Avengers 4, but then build up the MCU by having a rebooted version of the X-Men and then the Fantastic Four, just so the Avengers could have more of a unit to combat Galactus, or as a means of preserving him? What are your thoughts as to the entire concept of Galactus and introducing said characters, if you think that it would be a good idea to do so after the Avengers 4 movie?
With that, I would honestly, if Galactus is going to be built up to be the big bad villain, like if he's going to be the Thanos of the next phase, I would honestly just go about and just reboot the Fantastic Four, extend on the Guardians lore, and introduce Doctor Doom in one of those, more or less in a Fantastic Four movie. Since you would be building up to Thanos, and to reference your point before, to get everyone a chance to gel together, get more people on their side, because currently right now the Avengers team and the Guardians of the Galaxy, if you put all of them together, they would not have enough power to beat Galactus. There'll be nothing stopping Galactus from coming to Earth, just wiping everyone out, eating the planet, and going on about his side. So you would need to introduce the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom, get Reed Richards and Doctor Doom working together, because since they are two of the smartest characters in Marvel, in comics, they are two of the smartest characters in Marvel.
Right.
Have them come together, have them work together, devise a way to defeat Galactus, have them plan, maybe keep referencing Galactus, like Galactus is this far away from Earth, we have this amount of time. But then the next movie, Galactus is maybe close to Jupiter, so we have this amount of time. We need to speed up every movie that there is leading up to when Galactus finally shows up. Drop hints that he is getting closer. Keep the threat of Galactus hovering over the MCU, so that when people go to the movie, say like, okay, how close is Galactus now? How far is he out from Earth now?
That would be terrifying. That would be like the best case scenario, but that would be terrifying, just having Galactus hover over. I love that idea, because every single time you look on over and you see where Galactus is at, you kind of wonder like, okay, how close or how far is he? That would be amazing. But then again, it's like, by the end of it, right? Unlike Thanos, because we don't know Thanos' fate, what would you have the fate be of Galactus down the line when looking at Marvel from a business standpoint, from where, you know, you want to market and you want to make more money? I'm assuming that perhaps Thanos will die, and that would be in Thanos' best interest, because, you know, he is infatuated with death. He has this, you know, just affection for, you know, death itself. So I think that with Thanos having to die, it would be suitable. But what about Galactus? Like, down the line, would you have it to where he is completely killed off and defeated, or would you have it, you know, take a different route to where they can preserve him for something else down the line?
I wouldn't kill him off, because the role that Galactus plays, the role that he plays in the universe, you would need him to exist, because if Galactus were to die, the Celestials would run amok and they would destroy the entire Marvel universe. That's why Galactus eats planets, because Celestials plant their eggs in planets. That's how the Celestials, that's how they multiply their race. Galactus keeps their race in check. So killing him wouldn't be a smart move. Defeating him, you could do that. Maybe you could like run him off, scare him off. You could do something like that. Completely getting rid of him is out of the question, in my opinion. Because if you get rid of Galactus, that would be like the equivalent of like getting rid of all the water on Earth. It would completely destroy the ecosystem. Everyone would die. You can't get rid of Galactus completely. You would need to defeat him, get rid of him, and that's why I referenced Reed Richards using the ultimate nullifier to maybe run him off. Maybe that'd be the culmination of everything, because I don't see the Avengers or anyone really beating Galactus. I can't see his power. It's just on a completely different scale from anyone that we've seen in the MCU. Even Thanos, with the Infinity Gauntlet, with the way they nerfed the Infinity Gauntlet and how powerful Galactus would still be, even Galactus right now, even with Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet in the MCU, I just can't see even Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet beating Galactus. In reference to the MCU, now, I'm not talking about comic Thanos. In reference to the MCU, Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, I don't think that he could beat Galactus with the huge scale that they would have to put him on to make him above Thanos, to make him such a huge threat. They would need to, honestly, I would just get the ultimate nullifier to get rid of him, not completely defeat him all the way.
And I definitely agree, because I think at some given point we're bound to see Galactus in the Avengers movie, but the only question is when and how they're going to execute him without the X-Men, if they are going to include the X-Men or the Fantastic Four. But we want to know your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. What do you guys think about the Avengers movies in the future in terms of having Galactus? Would you guys rather prefer to see the Celestials over Galactus, or Galactus over Doctor Doom? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching once more. If you guys are new to this channel and of course love Marvel and comics, don't forget to slap that subscribe button, turn on all notifications, leave a like down below if you guys are excited for the Avengers 4 movie, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you guys down in the comment section below. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace.